Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a precocious little boy who loved his family and friends, but could never ignore his not-so-secret passion. And so, as fate would have it, there was always a space in his heart just for his games. And so here we are, at the end of Season 3, with Benji's Top 100 Games of All Time. 25. Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Well, that came from nowhere. I went from being mostly meh, don't like the theme, not enough meat on the bone, to yes, I love the new 3rd edition. We're finally at a point where rules-wise I think it has an appropriate amount of depth. So, if I want pseudo-fantasy miniature wargaming, then this gives me it in spades. 24. Nidavellir. Dwarves and drafting should have been the tagline. Alas, you just have to make do with a glorious auction and bidding set collection game where you have to use your fixed but upgradable bids most optimally to have your pick of the litter. This distills the thrill of the auction almost perfectly. 23. Sagrada. This could almost make it to the top 100 due to the gorgeous dice alone. However, as I'm not that shallow, I can gleefully state that this dice drafting and placement game that sees you navigating fairly restrictive positioning rules is a damn fine puzzle-like game that really does offer a sense of reward for time spent. 22. Bunny Kingdom. Despite the big old board in front of you, this is actually pure card drafting. The cards then populate the board and its pseudo area control and route building seamlessly work together to elicit some real feels in its indirect player interaction and immersion. A game this cute shouldn't be this good. 21. Sentient. And ever present in my underrated gems collection. Everything seems to just fit here in this game of reverse dice manipulation that sees you trying to align your objective cards with the facings found on your rolled dice. How you then manipulate said dice without bollocksing something else up is scratch that itch goodness. 20. Diceforge. I say again, how are there not more games that allow you to upgrade the facings on your dice? It's gloriousness. To be honest, all you're really doing is rolling resources each turn to then buy stuff that allows you to do more dice things and ultimately procure points. But I still love this little piggy to pieces. 19. A Feast for Odin. So many complex worker placement games for me fall flat thematically, but this behemoth of a game that brings polyomino tile placement out to play absolutely tells the story of your Viking clan as you establish your culture and get your expedition and pillage on. Almost unwieldy, but absolutely epic. 18. Star Wars X-Wing. Is this a miniature war game for board gamers or the other way around? Is it neither and both? I don't bloody know, it's just a really good space skirmish game where you must build your forces synergistically and eyeball your manoeuvres perfectly on the table, lest you be obliterated from the theatre of battle. 17. Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game. Some games you just love mechanically from the get-go, and that it's set in the Warhammer universe is just gravy. So this is one of those you can't repeat the same action twice in a row games, with a pinch of dice rolling in there too. It's story driven, it's combat-tastic, it was over too soon. For shame, GW and FFG. 16. Star Wars Destiny. Is a superb deck construction and dice rolling game. Another one that shone very bright, albeit briefly, but the connection between the dice and their respective cards has never been done this well, with each playing its role in this dueling game to perfection. I'm sad to have seen it go. I still have all my decks. 15. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Hands up who doesn't like multifunctional cards. That's right. You can use them in this here exploration and adventure game to either place workers or to do the other things. Oh, and you can indulge your inner archaeologist on the research track and face down mythical creatures as well. This one touches me in all the right places. 14. Aeon's End. Why not take a conventional and cooperative deck builder, add in some neat twists with how you sequence and power up your abilities, and then tie the whole thing up in a nice little bow with some exceptionally crafted monsters to go up against? Yes please, and thank you, I will. 13. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. I just know I don't have time for the oh my goodness there's a lot of content in there daddy Gloomhaven. So how over the moon do you think I was when this slimmed down, at least content wise, little fella came out? Tactical card play in a dungeon crawler has never been and probably never will be this good. 12. Star Wars Legion. I pray every other day for Star Trek to get this much hobby love. Until then, I satiate myself with a miniature wargame that absolutely nails unit movement. The best there is, even though it's so bloody simple, and leaves the rest to astute tactical dice rolling combat and a plethora of choices for army building. Excellent. 11. Blood Bowl Team Manager. Deck building and quasi-area control make Benji a happy boy. The Blood Bowl theme is well up in your grill and the Blood Bowl is good. What else there is wonderful take that shenanigans over each matchup every round, and the push-pull dynamic can be so gratifying. I love almost everything about this game. 10. Magic the Gathering. This is what happens when ingenious game design spawns a whole genre of collectible card dueling games. My favourite part of it outside of brewing decks is playing around what cards my opponent has in hand and what my path to victory is. I could truly speak for a very long time about how good this game is. I've just been stuck playing MTG Arena for the last couple of years, hence is at the bottom end of the top 10. 9. Clank, a deck building adventure. Has fallen slightly mostly because I have very little interest in the considerable number of expansions this game has, and I don't like legacy games. It means that little bit of excitement has worn off. Still, this brilliant execution of deck building and push your luck point to point movement is one of my favourite 1-2 mechanism combinations in the whole wide world. 8. Western Legends. Sandboxes, there's a reason you loved them as a kid. You could let your imagination run wild, but in the confines of a little box. And here you can be lawmaker or lawbreaker and still have a whale of a time traversing the length and breadth of the board. Nailing bandits, hitting up the cabaret, mining for gold, dabbling in a bit of poker. It's all here and it all sits on some relatively lightweight gameplay. An absolute winner. 7. Scythe. This is still the first game I think of when I hear the term hybrid board game. That mix of Euro let me do what I want elements on my uber little player board, but also let me engage in a bit of area control and player interaction. Nothing too fighty, you understand, just enough to get my bully on. There are a bunch of different ways to trigger the endgame, which is a testament to how many different ways you can approach this peach of a game. 6. Underwater Cities. Just keeps getting better for me. This is one of those games with a hook, but it's such an amazing hook it would skewer the knackers off of Pietro Pan without breaking a sweat. You see, you place a worker and play a card at the same time, and if the colour of the card matches the space, then you bloody pop off. Oh my god. The tableau and route building elements only have to be just good for the overall package to be amazing. 5. Arkham Horror the card game. It's at this point in this theme-tastic cooperative storytelling card game's life cycle, it's probably not going to get any better. But when the mechanics and the theme sing so loud, the rest is going to boil down to the quality of the content, and for the most part it remains great. You honestly will struggle to find a more immersive gameplay experience than this, and its tight mechanics allow you to make it as easy or as hard as you want it to be. 4. Spirit Island. I've never really understood the assertion that this co-op area control game with variable player powers was a hard teach. Whether it's the titular spirits you control, the natives you defend, or those pesky invaders you're trying to brown trousers, there's a uniform logic to the rules. The open information that tells you what's to come does nothing to dim the tension. You know full well you have to min-max to succeed. Brilliant design. Number 3, Marvel Champions the card game, is a great companion to Arkham Horror for me because where that brings storytelling to the fore, this is all about the action, with each scenario and available modular sets bringing something that little bit different. And with the at this point extensive library of available heroes, I know I'm going to have a different game every time this hits the table. I hope they continue to innovate and iterate because I'll be there with bells on. Number 2, Warhammer 40,000. Just missing out on the top spot is my very favourite miniature war game, striking an excellent complexity compromise in 9th edition, just like Age of Sigmar has now found. This also brings a better balance between ranged combat and up close and personal handbags. Yet there's still a crazy amount of depth to this game devolved to all its rich and varied factions, and I for one cannot get enough of it. In the grimdark future, there is only war. And number 1, Terraforming Mars. It's just too good. At this point, 3 years into my top 100 games, it has still not been usurped. And I don't really care a great deal for the expansions. The first time I played this was a seminal moment for me. Maybe it sealed the deal for my obsession with this hobby of ours. But never has an engine builder so winningly complemented board control, take that, objective capping, set collection, and many, many more of the good things. I love this game despite its middle in production, and still don't find myself getting bored of it. The best of the best. And that there concludes this person's top 100 games of all time. Will there be a new number 1 this time next year? We shall see. So for those of you that have joined me on this journey from 100 to 1, what did you nod in approval in my choices for? And what did you call me bad names about? Let me know in the comments. Alas, I have been the voice of Benji, and this video has ended.